Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Canal Days, What Life Was Like in the Industrial Connecticut River Valley of Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and today joining us is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Comine. He personally offers and leads public and private tours, as well as presentations of historical sites within communities throughout the state of Massachusetts. Currently, the communities he has chosen to focus on this year are Holyoke, Chicopee, South Hadley, and East Hampton, and also Granby and Amherst as well. His tours spotlight the canals, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as various parks, streets, and selected historical houses within each community. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the Ashleyville Cemetery, located in West Springfield, Mass. So tell us of the history of the cemetery.
Right, this cemetery is a fairly old one. It was started in the year 1770 by the Ashley family. They started as a family cemetery on the northern edge of West Springfield. Now, it wasn't even in 1770 West Springfield yet. It was still part of Springfield. And so they started on this northern edge. And mostly it was members of the Ashley family who had farms all through this area and over the border into Holyoke too, even though there was not a Holyoke yet. But they were peppered all over the wonderful area. And if you go through the cemetery, that's the most common name of all. And we'll talk about the gravestones within it and whether there's modern ones. And also, what about how to get in off of such a busy street?
And what type of gravestones are found in the Ashleyville Cemetery?
Okay, the 1700 ones are mostly the brownstones. And then once you get to about 1710 out to about once you get to 1810 out to about 1880s, there's a lot of the marble ones. And then it starts with the modern era. And in this location, the gravestones are pointing towards the road, which is towards the east. And so almost every one of the gravestones is positioned incorrectly. Any gravestone from the birth of the cemetery in 1770 up to about 1860 should be pointing towards the west. It should be pointing towards the forest behind it. And any of the footstones should have been pointing towards inscription towards the east. So there's no footstones in the cemetery. The Union Street Cemetery does have them, and other cemeteries in West Springfield do, but this one does not. Someone went overboard in the late 1800s and made it such that it was easy to maintain and pass the lawnmowers, but it lost almost every footstone. It also swiveled the headstones around 180 degrees to point towards the east, towards the road, so it'll be visible to the people going by. So it's been changed drastically, but there is still family plots within there, so you can distinctly see the Ashley family, mostly in the back right at this point, such as a Daniel Ashley and Amelia Ashley. And there's also inside here the Rogers family, and they have a stone embedded inside of a metal structure. There's many obelisks around. And then also look out for other families like the Clark family, the Taylor family. One of the nicest stones, or the coolest stone to read, is a Moses Ashley, who drowned in the Connecticut River July 27th, 1792, 62 years of age. And it says that right on the gravestone itself. So it has a lot going for this cemetery, so I invite you to show up here.
And really quick before we continue with the rest of our interview, just to fill our listeners in, if you want to find out more information or sign up for any of his various tours, you can check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And there you can find videos and podcasts of the stops along each of his tours, as well as photos and text of the historical sites throughout as well. And for private tours and other inquiries, you can email him directly at bobcat4214, capital B, at yahoo.com. And his tours make for fun, educational, outdoor activities for families and group parties. So getting back to our interview, is there more room in the cemetery?
Yes, there are modern burials, and there's more burials happening inside it. But it's not one of the main cemeteries in West Springfield. Thus, burials at this point happen very slowly, maybe about once a year. So it will fill up someday, but West Springfield has bigger cemeteries around, and so they're not going to run out of room very soon at all.
And what is the best way to get into the Ashleyville Cemetery?
Okay, there's a drive-in gate, which is toward the further left of the cemetery. It is further down Route 5 or Riverdale Road from the pedestrian gate that's up closer towards the north. And the best case is just drive right in, and there's a dirt driveway going in, and that's the best way to stay. Do not park out on Route 5 itself, because it's a very heavily driven highway, and it could be very dangerous. So just drive right in, and you can, when you want to leave, circle around to the back, and there you'll find yourself when you come out pointing in the out direction. So don't worry about traffic as long as you just go in there. If you're worried that you shouldn't do that, you want to just pull over on Route 5, there's a dirt berm in front of the cemetery, so you could do that, but I suggest you just go in once you feel it's safe to do so. And it's a very pleasant cemetery to visit. It's one of my favorites because that it's so well connected to Holyoke's history. A lot of the members of the Ashley family itself moved into Holyoke, and Elijah Ashley, who lived near Ashley Pond, and the pond was named after him, in Holyoke, which is near the border of West Springfield, had a reservoir system named after him, the Ashley Reservoir, and he is buried in the Elmwood Cemetery in Holyoke. And a lot of the Ashley family moved in like that, since it was so close to the border. So you get a piece of both West Springfield history here and Holyoke's history. You get a nice family cemetery that's grown through the years, but you can still see a lot of the ancient brownstones. Too bad there's hardly any footstones around at all. But thank you for listening to this podcast.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours and historical topics of your expertise. And we want to thank our listeners for tuning in.